Okay, welcome to this session. We are talking about some of the innovation tools that we're doing at Activate, and we're going to introduce some of them to you today. We are going to show you how that all works. So I'm going to introduce a session called Object Cards, and you're going to get a sense of how we go about it, how do we use it, so that you can introduce some innovation thinking to some of the stuff that you do around some of the social issues you face in your community, etc. So guys, today we're going to do the object cards, and so at Activate we are quite conscious of creating social change, but we know that some of the social issues we deal with has been in communities for many years. We know we've also applied the very same solution to those very old problems. We are wanting to introduce innovation tools as a new way of thinking of solving some of those very old problems, okay? And we want to come up with new solutions and not continue to use the old solutions that we've been applying to these very old problems. So innovation is to help and spark new thinking, and that's what we want to do with the innovation tool. We've introduced the object cards. We also have other innovation tools. They are archetypes, wash lines, cards, etc. And those are other innovation tools that complements the object cards that we are going to show you today. Okay, so with the object cards, we really just apply them to some of the social issues, and they're just a catalyst, okay, to help us spark some of the thinking in our own heads around how we can solve something. So it's a thinking tool that draws on your thinking and use your thinking to solve or understand a problem first. Okay, but what we're going to do today is understand the problem first, so that we are able to unpack it sufficiently, and then we are going to understand it and work with it later on. We're also going to tell you, we're not necessarily going to show you for this video, we're going to tell you what we do when we do solutions and focus the cards using solutions, but today we'll just be focusing on how we understand the problem a lot better. So we are going to identify a particular problem that we want to work with today as an example, so we can give our audience some sense of how the card can be used, and then we want to jump into a social issue that we experience in this country, and then we want to see if we can try and unpack that social issue, right? So for this particular example, we are going to use an object card, and the way the object card works is that we have to identify the object, its function and its features, okay? And we're going to draw on its function and its features to relate it to a specific problem, okay? So we're going to try this out. We have lack of creativity in primary schools as our particular problem we want to work with. We want to look at this Coca-Cola can, and then we want to understand how we can relate this particular Coke can or Cola can to the problem, which is lack of creativity in schools, okay? So when you go to a shop and you buy a cola, okay, you only get them in one standard size. So they are 340 mils, okay? And you don't get them in other variations if you want this specific Coke or cola, right? And in the same way, if you relate it to our problem, right, creativity levels in schools are very different for different kids. Our education system, however, is just offered in one way. So kids are just getting one way of it being educated in schools for different levels of creativity, for different levels of focus, for different levels of attention. That's one of the big problems in our system with creativity. We also look at the Coke can. So when you're looking at the Coke can, you can't necessarily tell whether or not the Coke is flat or whether the Coke is fizzy, right? And is going to jump out of the can when you open it. You don't know that. In the same way, with kids in schools, for example, the teacher can't always identify what needs the kid has, okay? And when they can't identify what needs the kid have, you don't know how to react. So if we were to open this can and know that it's flat, we know we don't have to be concerned. But if we open it and we know it's spilling out, we know that we have to cover it, right? So with kids, if we don't understand these kids or what's happening inside and what their requirements are, we can't necessarily teach them in a way that will address some of their particular learning needs, okay? And so, as you can see, I've drawn strong relationships between the characteristics of the can and its functions to the social problem that we have, which is the lack of creativity in schools. Okay? Are there any questions? Is this very clear?
Quite clear.
Okay. To our audience there, I hope that this makes sense to you. We are drawing relationships between an object and a particular social problem, just to move away from our own thinking and our own biased thinking that sometimes blocks us from reimagining anything else. Okay? And that's why we use the object. We are now going to, as a group, explore an example so we can unpack it. You are welcome to join us, and you're welcome to tweet as we explore this particular social problem. Add your views, add your associations you're making with the object and the social issue.